Welcome to an FAQ answering session with me, GetDaved. So, I get asked some questions sometimes, and I have decided now is a good time to answer some of them. So that's what I'm gonna do. These are not in any particular question, but I've picked 13 questions that I get a lot in random order. Question 1. Why do you Let's Play? Well, I have two stories to tell you because I recognize it's a weird hobby. First is I was doing a lot of stuff at work and it was very boring and did not require all of my attention. It was like you can't really speed it up, but you spent a lot of time watching your computer think. So I had to do a whole bunch of those one time, and I was getting bored, and I'd listened to music for several days, and then I decided I'm gonna watch someone play a video game. And then I found Jason's Groove Machine's LP of Earthbound, and I decided to watch that, and I really liked it, and then I started watching more LPs, and I got into it. So that's story one. Story two is a time when I was very sick and was stuck in bed for a long time, and I was so sick I couldn't do fun things, so I just started watching Let's Plays, and again, I really enjoyed that. It really offset the suckiness of being bedridden for weeks, and yeah, those gave me a real appreciation for LPs, and I love video games. I like talking about games, I like playing games, I like watching people play games, I like talking about gamer culture, I like Penny Arcade and PAX and Child's Play and like just everything to do with every aspect of them. I've read the FFT Battle Mechanics Guide on GameFAQs, like the whole thing, and done my own graphs. I'm really hardcore about that stuff. So I really like games. It seemed like a natural fit. So that's why I do my LPs. And I know some of you have been inspired to do your own LPs too, and I think that's wonderful. What recording software do you use? That is the question I get asked the most. So I use Camtasia Studio. I have version 6. I've used version 7, and I gotta tell you, it's awesome. It's a fair bit better too. So I would really recommend it as being pretty good software for screen capture. That's for recording your computer screen, obviously. And I use Fraps for more hardcore stuff. Basically, if you're playing a game in full screen mode, you can't use Camtasia anymore. That's been my experience. You technically can, but don't do it. Fraps is better and is really well suited to full screen games. It has a really low footprint, so you can use it even on games that your computer is really pushing it at running. The drawback is it produces really huge files, so I recommend using WinFF, or there's an AVI file manager that you can use to append video files together called Virtual Dub. It's open source. It's really great. Both WinFF and Virtual Dub are open source. So I'd recommend you get your hands on those and piece your AVIs together. And if you need codecs, the K-Lite codec pack is the thing to find for all your codec needs. It has simplified everything to do with video encoding so much. I remember the days before that codec pack, and they were dark, horrible times. People were struggling to get by. Families divided over a decompressed video clip. Murders. It was awful. Not much of that's true. Well, it was pretty bad. No, all of that's true. What is your favorite game? Well, I have several. I've LP'd some of them, like Sins of a Solar Empire is one of my favorite games, Master of Orion 1 and 2. I can't really pick a favorite between them, but I like them both a lot. Final Fantasy 6 and 7 are probably my favorite RPGs, and RPGs are my favorite genre. And I think FF7 is my favorite game of all time. I'm not one of those fanboys who's lost all sense of objectivity, but a lot of people hate on FF7 because it's got such a passionate following, and I'm just going to tell you right now, it's unjustified. Some of the fanboys need to shut up, but this game is seriously beautiful. And FF6, generally speaking, these two flip-flop back and forth as to what my favorite is, but I think I like FF7 slightly better. I'm also a fan of Mega Man 3, Super Mario World, I already talked about Sins, so those are games I really like. Yep. Good talk. Who are your favorite LPers? I like Deceased Crab and Nintendo Capri Sun. I haven't watched as much of Jason Groove Machine's newer stuff because they kind of had like him and some of his LP friends formed like County Line Gaming, and they revolted against YouTube, and now you can upload videos as long as you want. So a lot of their reasons I think have gone. I don't know. I think you stick with YouTube. I understand people's desire to go against the system sometimes, but you got to play along with it sometimes. Next question. Well, some of these are also frequently made comments that I'm going to address too. Why do you talk so much during your LPs? To clarify, a lot of the time I listen to the LPs rather than giving them my full attention, and I'll just put them on at work or something and put on the headphones. So when people go really extended periods of time without talking, the game can speak for itself, and I try to be sensitive to moments that are, good for that sort of thing. But yeah, I dialogue, I talk about what's going on, I have a one-sided conversation, and I get lots of good feedback from the comments too, but I sort of view it as more of a social thing, because I'm a pretty social person in real life. Maybe we could be friends, or maybe we'd be enemies. Don't push your luck. Alright. Frequently made comment. You should do an LP of blank. Sure, maybe, I don't know. If I get a lot of suggestions for the same game, I do check these things out. Like Sins of a Solar Empire, which is an amazing game that everyone should play and own and buy from Stardock. Yeah, if I get a lot of requests for a game, I do check it out. If I only get one or two, I don't really go into it. I don't know. I try to listen to people a little bit, and I try to sort of anticipate games you'd like too, because if I listened to you every time, I would only be playing space-themed 4X games. And, well, there's more to life than that genre. Why don't you respond to my comments / thanks for responding to my comment? Okay, how it works is I get a selection of comments delivered to my inbox, and it's usually about 10 a day seems to be the number YouTube likes to stick around. Even if I get tons more, or, well, no, if I get less, it just puts less in there. I don't really know how the algorithm works. Anyway, I read them like every day or so. I don't know, I guess I'm not always on YouTube every day, but like I pretty consistently check them, and if people ask an important question, or just something that I'd just like to clarify or whatever, I respond. If people make an interesting comment, I respond. I just I read all the ones that come in my inbox, so that is why I don't respond to some and I do respond to others. I would just say, if you want to increase the probability of me responding or whatever, I would just say, save it until you've got something really interesting to say or whatever, and I'm more likely to respond. But I don't think you should really edit how you post comments, because I do really like that there's a bit of a conversation that happens underneath, and by YouTube standards, you guys are like a pack of philosophers and diplomats, so I really think you're great. You suck at blank game. Yeah, I get that comment a lot. It's almost always about Civ 4. I am better at some games than others. I am making an entertainment product, though, fundamentally, and a showcase of the game, and something fun for me to do. That's sort of the order that I prioritize things. Skill is not always compatible with all those things. As a matter of fact, I think it'd be really cool if I did a Mario LP sometime, so I'm actually flirting with that idea, because bad judgment leads to a lot more entertainment than sound strategic choices. And I try to take risks, and sometimes I forget, and I like it when you guys remind me to nut up and make a terrible, terrible decision and see if I can get out of it. Like, you remember Galactic Civilizations 2? The second LP I did of it with all the expansion packs? Remember when I accidentally blew up the wrong space station? Boy, it would have been a different LP if I hadn't done that. Anyway, bottom line is, no, I'm not great at every single game I do. I try to get to at least an average level of competence. But for most games, I don't really have a passion for getting too far beyond that, if it's a new game, right? Unless I really like it. Like Sins of a Solar Empire, I'm pretty good at now, but that game's amazing. You should do an LP of a super huge galaxy for some 4X game. No. I understand why, and I understand it, like, kinda sounds epic and everything, but I sort of go into this every time. As a problem with the genre, it almost always turns into just an extended mopping up period. And in, like, every Master of Orion, every 4X LP I've done, I could probably tell you like at least halfway through the LP if I was gonna win or not, and I'd be right every time. It's just when you feel yourself turn the corner, no one can stop you unless they all gang up on you, and if you play your cards right, that just doesn't happen. So anyway, the reason why I don't do the super huge maps is you spend longer on the mop-up phase where no one really stands a chance against you. So I don't know. I guess they have votes and things like that as ways of circumventing the normal victory conditions of a game and speeding it up, but I think I've established that voting is for pansies, and real emperors just commit, I'm not going to use the G word, but they address all the other empires in the galaxy. If you're playing a 4X game in space anyway, rule with an iron fist or stop making LPs. Okay. Piracy is awesome, or I'm pirating a game, or where do I pirate the game? I actually get that a lot. And I would just direct you to this video. It's on the Escapist magazine. It's a regular video segment they have called Extra Credits. They did an episode on piracy. I agree with everything they say. I do get why people pirate games, and I understand the convenience of it more than anything else. But I'm not going to help you, ever. So, and I'm not sorry about that. And if you disagree with me, that's fine, but I believe that is a poor choice, and I hear a lot of arguments in favor of piracy from people, and nothing you can say will ever make me believe those arguments are valid, because I'm pretty sure people make them as a form of self-rationalization even. Sorry if that's controversial or anything. I'm sure you have lots of good reasons, if you're into pirating, why you do it, but not one of them will be a good reason to me. So, sorry if that's controversial. It really shouldn't be. I have not met a single downloader who's Robin Hood. Where do I get blank game? Well, you could pirate it, but I don't recommend that. Or most games can be found at GOG.com. Good old games. There's very good prices, as you can see, like Psychonauts for $10. Yeah, that's a good deal. How do I make this game work? Okay, I don't know. I'm running Windows XP still at the time I'm recording this anyway. I'm probably switching. I've got a Windows 7 computer and an OS 10 computer and an XP computer. It'll be time to put down the XP computer soon, but I don't have a lot of the compatibility issues you do, and if I had a problem in Windows 7, I would just run a virtual machine of XP to circumvent the issue entirely. I don't know how to get crap working. Sorry, and I am certainly not going to research it for you, because I don't know nearly as much about the situation as you, and I mean, me taking on those sorts of comments and like trying to help everyone, that's not sustainable. You guys would rather have me spend my time making LPs. Last question, or this is a comment, and let's get this clarified right now. Master of Orion 2. A lot of people tell me that the best weapon is not the one I use. I use a disruptor, usually a heavy mount one. I can't type today. Okay, some people say phasers are better, and if you're not interested in this, I fully understand and respect that. Okay, disruptors take 20 space and do 40 damage, flat. Okay, phasers take up 10 space and do 2 to 20 damage, I believe is the number. No, that's not true. 5 to 20 damage. There we go. Okay, so right now I understand that in the game, once you research disruptor, phasers will be a little bit smaller. However, I don't think that factors in significantly. Let's look at one thing. Disruptor does 2 damage per space unit, right? And it can get miniaturized too. A phaser does a maximum of 1 damage per space. Okay? Or pardon me, a maximum of 2 damage per space. Ugh, I can't think. Too bad I'm doing this with the camera going. I should have scripted this out better. So, that is the best it can possibly do, is a tie. Now I understand, again, when you get this disruptor, this might be a 7 space, and so you get a slightly more favorable ratio, but that is still the best it can possibly do. Now, both have auto-fire upgrades, right? That's fine. That makes 50% more space, lowers your accuracy a bit, gets you a lot more damage though, triples the damage, ideally. Both have heavy mount, that's fine too, but phasers, not better than disruptors, okay? Let's also remember that disruptors never dissipate with range. That factors in too. Yes, phasers can be upgraded to be shield piercing, but come on, shields aren't what cause you trouble. And in the non-shield piercing case, this is why disruptors are better, even assuming you get the best possible hit from a phaser. Let's say you fire on someone who can shield 10 points. A disruptor will do 40 minus 10 equals 30 damage. A phaser will do 5 to 20, let's just call it 20 because we're being nice, minus 10 equals 10 damage. All of a sudden, the fact that it's half as big and does half as much damage, doesn't look as good now. Now the question of why do I use heavy mounted ones? Well, the fact is they do get a bit of an accuracy bonus against larger ships, and the other fact is you are usually shooting something like a planet or another ship. So, double range is nice, subtle accuracy bonus is nice, and the 50% boost to damage, if we do 60 damage against someone who has 10 shield filtering points equals 50. If you have a non-heavy mount one, you get 30 damage. Okay? So it's already kind of equalizing out once you take out into consideration a real, actual fight. In my opinion, once you factor in the accuracy bonus as well, and the fact that you're likely to be shooting at a variety of targets, like things that are hard to hit and planets, the heavy mount disruptor is just the best all-purpose weapon. Okay? Plasma cannons are also a common, or a weapon that people commonly think is better. So they do 6 to 30 times 4, right? So it could be 24 to 120, and they are bigger than plasma cannons. So on the surface level it looks good, but you have to mow down every shield arc around a ship. That sort of offsets the benefit, because plasma cannons are friggin' huge. Yep. I've also had one person come out of the blue and suggest the Mauler device. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. No. Other contenders on pulse cannons are pretty good if you don't have a patched version of the game. In the 1.3 patch, they became essentially useless because you couldn't heavy mount or auto fire them anymore, which means they can't do meaningful damage at all, really. Before, if you shot at someone with their shields down, it basically blew up their ship every time. Not so anymore. Now they barely do anything. So, for those of you who aren't interested in this debate, that's fine, but this is actually the second most frequent comment I get. Yep, people complaining about disruptors. They're the best. Deal with it. There's an FAQ about why they're the best on GameFAQs. You can check that out too. Let's move on. That was actually the last thing I had to address, so we're done this now. I'll see you all in my next LP video. I was GetDaved. Good ending.